Okay, so let's summarize what we've learned so far about comparing and ordering rational numbers. Okay, first thing that, for our first example here is we're going to compare these three fractions, and let's take a look at the numerators. The numerators are all the same. Since the numerators are all the same, I know the smaller the denominator, the bigger the piece. The bigger the denominator, the smaller the piece. So I know if I am going in order from least to greatest, I know that 1/7 is the smallest, then 1/5 comes next, and then 1/2. Okay? I know you guys probably want to convert these to decimals and just double check, and that's fine. 1/2 is 0.5. 0.5 is right here on the line. Right here, 0.5. 1/5, if you take 1 and divide by 5, like this, you get 0.2. You guys should memorize that one. So that's 0.2. And I know if I take 1 and divide by 7, here I get about 0.14. Let's put a 0 here and a 0 here. Here's 0.5. Let's see, 0.25 is here, so about 0.2 is right there. That's 1/5. And 0.14 is going to be somewhere in here. There's 1/7. Okay, you can double check it with a number line. There's our numbers in order from least to greatest. Okay, this one, I've got these three fractions, and I want to compare them to a benchmark. And my benchmark here is going to be 1/2. I know where 1/2 is at on the number line. It's right there. Okay, if I look at 2/5, I know halfway, if I divide things into fifths, halfway is 2.5. So 2.5 fifths would be equivalent to 1/2. 2/5 is less than that, so I know this one is smaller than 1/2. And if I look at 6/7, if I look at the 6/7, if you divide 7.5, you get 3.5. So I know 6/7 is greater than 1/2. So to put those in order from least to greatest, my smallest one is 2/5. Next comes 1/2, and that in fact was our benchmark we were comparing against, and then 6/7 is the greatest. Okay? Moving on. This one, I don't have numerators that are same. Let's see, 2/3 is greater than 1/2, 7/8 is greater than 1/2, and 3/4 is greater than 1/2. So here I need common denominators. And if I look at the denominators down here, I'm going to say 24 is my common denominator. So 3 goes into 24 8 times. So 8 times 2 is 16. I just converted that one. Let's convert this one. Get a common denominator of 24. 8 times 3 is 24. So I take 7 times 3 and I get 21. And then let's do this one. 24ths. 4 times 6 is 24. So I've got to multiply this numerator by 6 and I get 18. Now that my denominators are the same, I look for the smallest to the biggest numerators to put them in order from least to greatest. You guys got to be mindful, sometimes they ask you to put them in order from greatest to least, and you got to watch out for that. If we're doing least to greatest, you look for the smallest numerator. It's 16/24, so this one's the smallest, the 2/3, and then next comes 3/4. 18 comes next, so 3/4. And then the biggest one is 21/24 or 7/8. Okay, common denominators. You could actually use common denominators on all of these. It'll always work. Or convert them to decimals. Okay, here we're comparing and ordering decimals. And I highly recommend when you guys do this, I built a little chart here. You don't have to build a chart, but I would definitely recommend drawing yourself a line where you can put decimal points and then line up all of your decimal places. Okay? right now I'm just going to use this chart, and I'm going to put all of these numbers in the chart lining up my decimal points. So I have 1.506, I have 1.5, I have 1.56, 1.056, 1.056, 1.5061, 1.5061. Now what I want you to do is, since this number right here uses up the most decimal places, I want you to take all the numbers out to that many decimal places by throwing in some zeros. Okay, throw in some zeros. That does not change the value of the number. Okay, so now start over here at the far left. They all begin with a 1, okay? So we're good right here in the ones place. Let's look in the tenths place. These are all 5s except for a 0, and 0 is smaller than 5. So this one right here is my least number. Okay, that one's my smallest. That is this one right here. Okay, so I'm going to write smallest above it. And we will cross that one off the list. We're done with that one. Okay, so we're done. We've done that digit. We've done this digit. Let's look at this one. Okay, here I have a 0. Here I have a 0, a 6, and a 0. All of the zeros are smaller than 6. That means this one here is going to be the greatest. That one right there. So let's write greatest, because 6 is greater than all of those zeros. So let's find 1.56 right here. Let's write largest above it, or greatest. And then we'll cross that one off the list. Okay? So let's go over to the next column. I've got a 6, a 0, and a 6. This one makes the second smallest. So let's put a 2 here. That's 1.5. We'll put a 2 here. Let's put a 1 right here, and we're assuming we're going least to greatest. We might be going the other way, and if we are, you just reverse the order. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one's going to be the largest. Okay, so let's cross off number 2 out of our list. And that completes that row because I'm left with a 6 and a 6. In this column I have a 0 and I have a 1. And 0 is smaller than 1. So here's number 3. There's number 3. That makes this one number 4. And now you just have to rewrite them. All right, our smallest was 1.056. Then number 2 was 1.5. Our third one was 1.506. Our fourth one was 1.5061. And our greatest one was 1.56. Woo! You guys remember doing that? Last year, the year before? Yeah, okay. Okay, we're going to order these least to greatest, but I want you to notice they're all negative numbers. They're all negative numbers, okay? And the number that's farthest from 0, if they're negative, is the smallest. All right? So let's just go ahead and we're going to put them back in our chart again. 1.02. Let's go ahead and put the negative out here. Negative 1.202. Negative 0.02. Negative 0.2. And negative 1.2. Okay? All right, what are we going to do next? Yep, let's fill everything, all these other digits up to this place with zeros. Okay? Now, I think what I'm going to do is I want to think about these as positives first, and then I'm going to flip the order. Okay, so let's not worry about the negatives at the moment. We'll come back and put those in a minute. All right, let's do our little trick again. We're going to go least to greatest. So I know zeros are smaller than the ones. So I'm going to go over to the next column, and I know the 0 here is smaller than the 2. So I know that if they were positive would be the smallest. Okay? If they were positive, that would be the second smallest. Okay, let's keep going. Of these, oh, wait a minute, we've got this one here. Did I leave that one out? Wait a minute. Let me back that up a minute. Okay, we got, no, that was okay. I got the 2 zeros here. I was looking at that. I have to come back and look at my ones again. No, we had that right. 0. That 0 right there makes it the smallest. Yep, that's right. Okay, let's go back now and look at our ones. These are all ones. We're going to come over and look here. And in this column, this 0 is the smallest. So that's the third smallest. Okay, so I've got 2's here and here. I'm going to go back over here. I have a 0 here and a 0 here. They match. Go over here and over here. I have a 0 here and a 2 here. This one's the smallest, so that one comes in 4th place, and this one right here is the largest in 5th place. And if I graph those on my number line on the positive side, it's going to look like this. Okay, so assuming they were all positive, here's how they fall on the number line. But our numbers were in fact negatives. All of these were negative numbers. So they're on the opposite side of 0 from the positive numbers. So this one right here that said 0.02, this one right here, negative 0.02 is the same distance on the other side of the number line. So here's negative 0.02. This one here that said 0.2 right here is the same distance on the other side of the number line, negative 0.2. Our next number was 1.02, but really it's negative. It's going to be the same distance on the opposite side of your 0. So I'm just going to flip it over here. Right there is 1.02 negative, right there. Our next number was positive 1.2, but it's really negative 1.2. So negative 1.2 is about right there. And our last one was it's actually negative 1.202. It's on the opposite side of 0, the same distance that this one is. So if I come over here, it's right here, negative 1.202. Now you have to keep in mind that if you're going this way on the number line, your numbers are getting smaller. And if you move this way on the number line, your numbers are getting bigger. And if we're ordering them from least to greatest, that makes this one here the smallest. So negative 1.202 comes first, then this one, negative 1.2, then this one, negative 1.02, then the next one is this one, negative 0.2, and the last one is this one. The negative number that's closest to 0 is the biggest number. So there, we've ordered them from least to greatest. Woo, that was a lot of work. Okay, we want to order these least to greatest. And I've got mixed numbers and decimals, and I've got positives, negative, a positive number, and a negative number. Okay, well, I definitely know that negative numbers are smaller going that way, and positive numbers get bigger. And the more we move to the right on the number line, the bigger the number's getting. Well, I definitely know that the two positives, the 4 3/4 and the 4.7, go down in here, and the two negatives are smaller. The negative 4 1/5 and the negative 4.23 go down in this area. So these two are bigger than these two. So I've kind of split them into the sections on the number line where they go. Now I need to compare these two numbers. Well, I'm going to convert 3/4 into a decimal. 3/4 is what is a decimal? Yeah, 4.75. Okay, it got cut off there. We turned 4 3/4 into 4.75. We're going to turn 4.7 into 4.70. Take it out the same number of decimal places. Over here, let's turn 4 1/5 into, or negative 4 1/5 into a decimal. 1/5 is 0.2. So since 0.43 is taken out to 2 decimal places, let's do the same thing here. So I've got negative 4.20, negative 4.23, and now I'm going to plot them all on the number line. I know these are bigger than those. I got to get them in the right order. Okay, so 4.75 is right here. 4.70 comes right before it. Negative 4.2 is closer to 0 than negative, can you see this? Negative 4.23. Now I just have to write them in order from least to greatest, starting with the smallest, getting bigger, going that way. So negative 4.23 is the smallest. Then comes negative 4.20, which is actually negative 4 1/5. And then when we come over here, we get to 4.7. There's 4.7. And our last one is 4.75, or 4 3/4. And we're done. Okay? Number lines help a lot.